Morning, darling.
Morning, Charles.
It certainly is.
What certainly is what?
A good morning. A tremendously good morning. There's a cloud in the sky. Everything looks newly washed.
He is keeping your breakfast hot. You better ring.
Anything interesting in the Times?
Said Charles.
I intend to work all day today.
Good.
It's extraordinary about daylight, isn't it?
What do you mean?
How it reduces everything back to normal?
Was it?
Yes, it does.
Sure, I'm very glad to hear it.
You're being very glacial this morning.
Are you surprised?
Quite frankly, yes. I expected more of you.
Oh, really?
You always struck me as a woman of perception and understanding.
Well, perhaps this is one of my off days. Look here, Charles. In your younger days, this display of roguish tendency might be alluring. In a middle-aged novelist, it's nauseating.
Would you rather me write at your feet in a frenzied self-abasement?
That would be equally nauseating, but certainly more appropriate.
I don't see what I've done that's so awful.
You behaved wrongly last night. You wounded me and insulted me.
I was the victim of an aberration.
Nonsense, you're drunk.
Drunk?
4 strong dry martinis before dinner, a great deal too much burgundy at dinner, heaven knows how much Port Cummel while I was doing my best to entertain that mad woman, and 2 double brandies later, I gave them to you myself. Of course you were drunk.
So that's your story, is it?
You refused to come to bed, and finally when I came down at 3 in the morning to see what had happened to you, I found you in an alcoholic coma on the sofa with the fire out and your hair all over your face.
I was not in the least drunk, Ruth. Something happened to me last night. Something very peculiar happened to me.
Nonsense.
It isn't nonsense. I know it looks like nonsense in the clear, remorseless light of day, but I swear to you, what is it?
Last night it was far from
Last night was far from being nonsense. I honestly think I had some sort of hallucination.
I'd really rather not discuss it any further.
But you must discuss it. It was very disturbing.
There I agree with you. It showed you in a most unpleasant light, and I find that very disturbing.
I swear to you that during the seance I was
Why do I
convinced.
keep forgetting that one? I swear to you that during the seance I could hear Elvira's voice.
Nobody else did.
I can't help that. I did. And I was equally convinced that during the night she was in this very room. I could see her distinctly, and when after you'd gone to bed, she made her had quite a cozy little chat.
And you honestly sort of believe that you weren't drunk?
I know I wasn't drunk. If I'd been drunk, shouldn't I should have a hangover, shouldn't I?
I'm not at all sure you haven't.
I know it is. You're frightened.
Frightened? Rubbish. What is there to be frightened of?
Elvira. You wouldn't have minded all that much even if I had been drunk. It's just because it was all about Elvira. That's when it all began.
When would all began?
You had me talking about, damn it, what?
We kept talking too much about it.
We kept talking too much about Elvira. It's dangerous to have somebody on the mind when you, somebody that's strong on your mind when you're doubtingly cold.
She suddenly wasn't strongly on my mind.
She was on mine.
Oh, she was she?
You tried to get me to admit that she was physically more attractive than you. More physically attractive than you.
I did not.
So you could hold it over me. Dear me.
I did not. I don't give a hoot how physically attractive she was.
Yes, you do. Your entire being is devoured with jealousy.
This is too much.
Women. My God, what I think of women.
Your view of women is academic to say the least of it. Just because you've always been dominated by them, it doesn't necessarily follow that you know anything about them.
The only woman in my entire life who has ever attempted to dominate me is you. You have been at it for years.
That is completely untrue.
No, it isn't. You boss me and bully me and order me about. You won't even let me have a hallucination if I want to.
Charles, alcohol will ruin your whole life if you're allowed to get a hold of you.
Once and for all, I was not drunk. I was so cold sober. Damn it. Once for all, I was not drunk.
I would like you to
I would
understand
like you to
what
understand.
happened last night was nothing whatever to do with alcohol.
I would like you to understand what happened last night was nothing whatsoever to do with alcohol. I was so cold sober from first to last and extremely upset into the body.
You were upset indeed. What about me?
You behaved with a stolid, abstruse lack of comprehension
Mm-hmm.
that frankly shocked me.
You seem to forget that you gratuitously insulted me.
I did not.
You called me a goddess night. You told me to shut up. And when I quietly suggested that we should go to bed, you said, with the most disgusting leer, that it was an immoral suggestion.
I was talking to Elvira.
Well, if you were, then I can only say it conjures up a fragrant picture of your first marriage.
My first marriage was perfectly charming, and I think of it in the worst possible taste
When I saw her, I had the shock of my
When
life.
I saw her, I had the shock of my life. That is why I dropped the glass.
But you couldn't have seen her.
I know I couldn't have, but I did.
Really, Stephen? You imagine you did.
That's what I've been trying to explain for hours.
Well, then there's obviously something wrong with you.
I know. Exactly. There's something wrong with me. Something fundamentally wrong with me. And when I'm trying to when I'm imploring for your sympathy, all I get is a sterile temperance lecture.
You have been drinking, Charles. There's no denying that.
No more than usual.
How do you account for it then?
I can't account for it. That's what's so awful.
How do you feel now?
Physically, do you mean?
Altogether.
Apart from being quite worried, I feel just fine.
Great. You're not seeing or hearing anything in the least unusual.
Not a thing.
You're absolutely ruined
Go.
it. Hold on, by the sundown.
She's here again.
What do you mean, who's here again?
Elvira, she's...
Pull yourself together and don't be absurd. So vulgar.
I like nasturtiums.
Like what?
All right in moderation, but in a mess like that, they look beastly.
Ruth, help me. You must help me.
What did you mean about nasturtiums?
Never mind about that. She's back again.
You've been having a nice scene, haven't you? I can hear you right down the garden.
Will you mind your own business?
If you're behaving like a lunatic isn't my business, nothing is.
I expect it was about me, wasn't it? I know I ought to feel sorry, but I'm delighted.
How could you be so inconsiderate?
Inconsiderate. I like that, I must say.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Elvira.
No.
What is it? Shit.
No, Ruth, please listen.
Ruth, please, listen.
I have done everything I can to help. I've controlled myself admirably, and I should like to say here and now that I don't believe a word about your damned hallucination. You're up to something, Charles. There's been a sudden furtiveness in your manner for weeks. Why don't you just be honest and tell me what it is?
You're wrong. You're dead wrong.
You're trying to upset me. For some obscure reason, you're trying to goad me to do something I might regret. I won't stand for it anymore. You're making me utterly miserable.
Ruth, please.
Don't come near me.
Let's have a nice try. It will do her good.
You're utterly heartless.
Heartless.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Elvira.
Go on talking to her then. Talk to her till you're blue in the face, but don't talk to me.
Elvira, help me.
How?
Make us see or something.
I'm afraid I couldn't manage that. It's technically the most difficult business. Frightfully complicated, you know. It takes years of study.
You are here, aren't you? You're not an illusion.
I might be an illusion, but I'm most definitely here.
You must How did you get here?
I told you last night, I don't exactly know.
You must promise the next time you come to visit me when I'm alone.
Unkind you are, making me feel so unwanted. I've never been treated so rudely.
I don't mean to be rude, but you must understand.
It's all your fault having married a woman who's incapable of seeing beyond the nose on her face. If she had any real grain or sympathy of affection for you, you believe what you tell her.
How can you expect anybody to believe this?
You'd be surprised how gullible people are. We have to laugh about it on the other side.
Charles,
Yes, dear.
I'm awfully sorry, Miss Cross.
But my dear,
I understand everything now. I do really.
you do?
Of course I do.
Look out, she's up to something.
Will you please be quiet?
Of course, darling. We'll all be quiet, won't we? We'll be as quiet as little mice.
Dear.
I want you to come up to bed with me.
Oh, the way that woman hops on bed is nothing short of erotic.
I'll deal with you later.
Very well, darling. Come here.
Wait, what do you want to?
I'm not up to anything. I just want you to go quietly to bed and wait there till Dr. Brightman comes.
No, Ruth, you're wrong.
Come, dear.
Ruth,
She'll have you in a straitjacket before you know where you are.
please, you have to help me.
My dear, I would with pleasure. I can't think how.
I can. Ruth,
Yes,
if
dear.
I promise to go to bed, will you let me stay here for 5 minutes longer?
I really think it would be better if we went upstairs.
Bear with me. Just for 5 minutes longer. I intend to prove it to you that she's right here.
Very well. What is it?
Sit down, please.
All right. There.
Now, Ruth, you've been... Ah, damn it. You better than... Feel me out. Sorry.
It's okay.
Last page. Third.
No, it's not the one. Second one.
All right, wait. Very well. What is it? Sit down. All right, there. Now listen carefully.
Now listen carefully.
Have a cigarette. It'll soothe your nerves.
I don't want a cigarette!
We shan't have one, darling.
Ruth, darling, bring it back. it's those two paragraphs where
I want to explain it clearly
I want to explain clearly in copy motion that the ghost or shade or whatever of my ex-wife Elvira is in this very room right now. I know you're trying very hard to humor me, but I intend to prove it to you.
Why not have a nice night on it and you can prove anything you want to later on?
She won't be here. She may not be here later on.
Oh, don't worry, she will.
God. Please, just promise me you'll do what I ask. Please.
That all depends what it is.
Ruth, you see that's my
Yeah,
father.
you see that.
You see the flowers on the piano right here?
Yes, dear, I did it myself this morning.
Very untidily, if I may say so.
You may not.
Very well, I never will again, I promise.
Elvira will now take these flowers to the mantelpiece and back to the piano. You won't, Elvira, won't you? Just to please me?
I don't really see why I should. You've been quite inseparable to me ever since I materialized.
Please,